All right, let's take a look at some sports news. Cricket, South Africa has finalised the 15-member Proteas senior women's T20 squad that will fly the flag in the ICC's Women's T20 World Cup. The tournament gets underway in Cape Town next month. South Africa will play Sri Lanka in the opening match of the tournament at Newlands on February the 10th.
The selectors have named a very experienced 15-member squad with 3 travelling reserves that will represent South Africa in the global showpiece. The majority of the players involved in the T20 tri-series between the Proteas, India and the West Indies in East London have retained their places, including newcomers Teboho Macheke and Annerie Dirksen. With regular captain Dane van Niekerk failing to pass a late fitness test, Sune Loos will continue to captain the side with Chloe Tryon, her deputy.
We have to plan from the pipeline that we do have, hence the high performance group of players is key, hence us having extended squads at our various camps, because this is the only way that we ensure that we have sustainability within the cricket pipeline. A young movement is key, how we take this forward, and I think there's a lot of opportunity now for young players that have been performing at provincial level to now come into the squad and really stake a claim for a position.
With the tournament taking place in the Proteas' own backyard, there's no doubt about the expectation for them to do well, especially after the heartbreak of the 2020 edition of the tournament, where South Africa lost to hosts Australia in the semi-final.
Basically, from the performances that we've seen in the past years, there's always been an expectation, and I think the World Cups, if you think about the World Cup that we've played in the past, there's always been an expectation of this team winning a World Cup, and you actually can see with their reaction once they come home, how hurt they are for not obviously getting over the line. But expectation is still the same, and it won't be any different compared to what the expectation is for the men.
South Africa have been drawn in Group 1 alongside New Zealand, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka and defending champions Australia. Samantha Mari, SABC News.
All right, on this, we are now joined via Zoom by Proteas all-rounder Nadine de Klerk to weigh in on the preparations for this World Cup. Very good afternoon to you, Nadine. Thanks very much for joining us here on SABC News.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, let's talk about your preparations then. You've had some good preparations for this tournament in the tri-series against India and the West Indies. Which areas are you guys looking at to improve in terms of your bid to be crowned the world champions?
Yeah, look, it's been really good. I think as a group, we're in a really good state of mind, and I think we've played some good cricket. I obviously think going into this World Cup, at the end of the day, I guess it's the team with the most runs who wins. So I think from a batting point of view, we will be looking to take on the bowlers, especially on wickets that might be a bit on the slower side. But I think we've done a lot of good prep here in East London, where the wickets were a bit slower and turning a little bit, and playing against guys like India and West Indies is really good prep going into the World Cup.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, there will be those teams that you'll be looking to that perhaps cause you, some sort of anxiety or fear. I mean, the team has a nice blend of experience and youth. Can we go all the way? When you look at some of those teams that, might be a little bit wary of, like England and Australia, which have caused us, headaches in the past.
Yeah, I think it's always tough playing against those guys, but I think we have a really good group. There's a few youngsters and a few new names in the squad as well, which is always exciting. I think it just brings something new to the team, and going into a home World Cup as well, quite familiar with the conditions back home. So I definitely back us to take it all the way, but we're going to have to play our best cricket, and I think we all know that as well. So the prep that we have now against obviously India in the final as well, it's going to be crucial for us going into that T20 World Cup in our first game on the 10th of Feb.
Yeah, Nadine, talk to us about, the advantage that, these teams would sort of have when we're talking about Australia and England, the sort of advantage they have going into this in these tournaments, because they are aided by having other tournaments like the Big Bash, which attract the best players in the world and, exposes their players to, to good competition. Would you say that also puts them, at an advantage? And where would you say, women's cricket is in South Africa? When I speak to Banyana players, for example, they say that, they do get support, they do receive support, but it's always sort of, compared to how their male counterparts are given support. And has there been similar sort of issues in terms of that support for women's cricket?
Yeah, I think first things is you're playing in the Big Bash and the 100 and all of these. I think it does kind of help their girls a hell of a lot. We don't always have that type of competitions. We had the WS All in December, but I think you can't really compare that with the 100 and the Big Bash in Australia. So I definitely think that's going to improve women's cricket even more. It's going to take the game forward, and it's going to expose a lot of young girls to a high level of cricket, which I feel is much needed, especially going into a World Cup. You want that experience of playing at a really high level and under pressure. So I think going forward, that's definitely something to look at, and that will. I think Australia and those type of countries have a lot of experience in World Cups because they've won a lot of it. They've played in a lot of finals, in a lot of semi-finals. They've played in Big Bash finals, which is a big thing, and I definitely think that helps. But cricket is a funny game. World Cups, I've seen funnier things happen in World Cups. There's a lot of pressure, and teams come here to win. And us as a home, or because we're playing in South Africa, we want to win this thing, but so does everybody else. So I just think it's about on the day who's the best team and who puts the best foot forward, and we just have to go out there and just play our best cricket. And on the day, anything can happen, and it might just be our day.
Maybe you can tell us what to expect this year, from the ladies' cricket side. I mean, some of your goals, I'm sure you've kind of had your boot camps and whatever that you do as a national team where you discuss these things. I mean, I must say that your male counterparts have kind of disappointed the fans somewhat. I see that they're recovering slowly now, but, what can we expect from you? I know we sort of try to rely on the ladies sometimes.
Yeah, I think, hopefully to keep the World Cup here in South Africa. I think we want to win this World Cup. I think that's been the biggest goal for so long, and we've missed out a couple of times in close semi-finals. Even if we look back at the 2020 World Cup against Australia, we lost by a very small margin, which just shows that we're not far off. We can compete against the best in the world. So we want to win this World Cup. We want to make the country proud. We want to make our families proud. And it's such a special moment to represent South Africa in this World Cup. Our ladies or under-19 girls have done so well in their under-19 World Cup. And hopefully we can take it even further and get to that final. And even if we play Australia or England, whoever it is, it's just to really give them a go and show them that we're here to compete, and, that we're not a walk in the park. And I guess if we can do that, that will put cricket in South Africa in a whole new frame of mind, and I think it will just move the game forward so much. So really looking forward and really excited for the tournament to kick off and see what the girls can bring to the table. But it's definitely going to be action-packed and a lot of entertainment. That's something I can be assured of.
All right, Nadine, a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so very much, and good luck to you and the rest of the ladies in the team. Send our regards.
Thank you so much.
All right.